We have this book on the Basilica of Bom Jesus. It is a dream come true, and we really like this book, and it is worth really knowing because how did it all come about? So I wanted to write something like this, wanted a book on the Basilica, also a coffee book, but the first attempt did not materialize. And so the Lord somehow provided the second attempt when Panteleao came in. And he will tell you how it all happened. So, what was in his mind and what sort of was in my mind, both of us gelled together. And then that's how the creation of this book has happened.
Yeah, so exactly on the 15th of February, I came to meet father for some other reason. And suddenly it struck me that I should ask him, father, whether we could make a book on the Basilica because father has in-depth experience of the Basilica. And I'm always on lookout for books. I've done quite a lot of coffee table books and I'm always on the lookout for doing more books. So I thought a book on the Basilica itself the Basilica deserves a book on itself. So I just asked Father, can we do a book together? And Father said, yes, I've been looking forward to do a book. So I gave an outline. We thought that we should have a team, and so we had a first team meeting. Father had in mind Dr. Vishvesh, who is here with us. So we met, and then
So we have the book here, and it has been a very interesting journey. I would like to first of all say a very important thing is that this has been 16 years of Father Patricio at the Basilica. 16 years is not a small time. 16 years is in fact a lifetime when kids grow up to become old people, not old people but adults. But it's a long time. And when he called me and he said, I want to do a book on the Basilica, I said, yes, this has to be done. And he told about this idea about collecting few of people whom he's been called. So there are very important people involved in making of this book. There is Delio Mendonça, who has done a lot of research on the book. Then there is Amita Kanekar, who's written extensively among other things. There is Benedetto Ferran, Dr. Benedetto Ferran, who teaches in William and Mary in America. We have other scholars. We have, like Father said, we have
John Marshall.
John Marshall, of course, Father Patricio himself has written about his experience, how he came to become the rector, how he came to the Basilica in the first place, and what are the works that he undertook. That his introduction is also there. And of course, we have Panteleao's fantastic photographic journey of the Basilica itself. Books, lots of books are being done in Goa about many topics, like how Panteleao said. But book about Basilica has been done also for a long time. There are lots of books written about Basilica. But what's so special about this book is that it is not just about a scholarly book, but also a photo journey or illustrations of what the Basilica is about. And these books will speak to various people who are seeking. Maybe they are reading this book for scholarly reasons. Maybe they'll be looking for information on the Basilica. Maybe some would want to get inspired, like Father, his journey, his personal memoir, so to say, about how he led his own journey into coming to the Basilica itself. So they'll be inspired by his whole personal journey, spiritual journey, or somebody might be interested in looking at photography itself, what Panteleao has brought to the book itself. So this book has lots to offer, various kind of audiences that we are catering to, and I hope that book will be liked by all. But first, let me ask Father Patricio. Father Patricio, you've been here for 16 years now. I know, and this book is like, in some ways tribute to you. How did it all come? Why this long journey, and why did you decide that in a book is a good legacy to leave behind?
I was just saying, like, no, normally when they ask me to write an article for the other magazines during the exposition or during what do you call that? Mainly the exposition, when they ask me to write articles or stories about people being healed, I never somehow got into it because I was too busy. But now I somehow began to feel within me that it's time now that a book should come out. So that was in my mind, and I was saying, what kind of book should be a photo book? So that was in my mind, and so I had approached one person, and she said, "Okay, we will try and do it." but somehow it did not materialize. I was rather not disappointed, but I said, maybe it's not meant to be. It was only when Panteleao told me that he said, why don't you consider a book? I said, yes, I'm considering a book, and I think you're the right man because you have done so many books. This will go very fast. And he was telling me that, okay, maybe this might be a long journey. And I said, no, I want it to be done before I leave this place. So leave this place means the 31st of May. But then things just changed. When we met, somehow there was a new kind of energy and a synergy with everybody. And that is what happened. I said, okay, we both were there. He said, which are the other persons that we will get? And so I thought of you as the person who has done so much of research on the Basilica, written so much. I said, you would be the best one. And that's how I approached you about the book.
So, just to give a little introduction, I am teaching at the Goa College of Architecture. I am an associate professor there. But I've also written a book on Basilica, which is a far more academic book. I look at one of the interests for me is to look at the long history of Goa. We often forget that Goa has such a long history that we are not able to encapsulate it. We're not able to capture it in sometime in a very short period of time. When we think about these long histories, we are unable to freeze history in terms of time. Like if we ask anybody in Konkani, say, "Are kenna chete?" They say, "Ate koiliche." And if there's something else which is older, they say, "Te kenna che?" Te ani koiliche. So the word is referential. We say old and little very old, but we are unable to think about 500 years of history, 400 years of history. Maybe our great grand ancestors who were there, who were thinking and making about the Basilica, among other things. So there are lots of these things which I write about, but it is not a book which is meant for everybody. It's not a coffee table book. So here I would like to ask Panteleao, what is it about coffee table books which people like and why they pick it up? And how do you see books like this featuring in houses of Goa or for Goan patrons or for Goan readers, that this coffee table book would be attractive to be picked up for example?
Yeah. So a coffee table book is essentially kept on a coffee table in a person's house. So when you get visitors and when the conversation trails off or they go inside, people pick up a book from the table and they browse through it. So these books should be so evocative that they should be able to spend those 5 minutes, 10 minutes browsing through the book, and the book should tell them, should absorb them into itself and tell the story which words can't tell. Like if I go somewhere and I see a book without any photographs, I generally will read the blurb and then I will keep it aside. I'll decide maybe I should buy it later, but I won't read it because there's no way you can read a book, a full book. But a coffee table book is different. You can actually get the gist of the whole book. If it is a real coffee table book, you will get the whole gist within a short time. And then so a coffee table book has to have evocative photographs, it has to have clear pictures, it has to have documentation value, it has to show you things which you usually ignore. The photographer should bring to the eye of the onlooker, of the reader, things which they will generally ignore. So the photographer does that for them. They select from the broad landscape, they select certain pictures, they select certain items and bring it to your focus. Otherwise, everything is lost in the world. So that's the reason I make these books, other books also, and I bring it to the focus of the people.
I want to focus on here about the Jesuit traditions of doing books. And if we know in this book, the foreword is written by a very important person. I would just like Father Patricio to speak a little bit more about the person who's written the foreword for the book, because it is a coffee table book, yes, but it's also a very important book which falls into the long tradition of Jesuits about contributing to the general knowledge, general philosophy about what they are into. So, Father, would you just like us to tell a little bit about the book and the foreword which is written into it?
Yes. Somehow there was a desire that since we have the general of the society who is heading the Jesuits all over the world, and St. Francis Xavier was among the first Jesuits and who was kind of instrumental in getting the society done, Compagnia de Jesus. So I thought, and we all felt that we should have the foreword done by Father General. Now this was something, it was looking a bit difficult. Will he be able to do it? He's got so many things. Father Artur Sosa. So whether he would be able to do it. But when I wrote to them, they were very obliging, and I was surprised that within 2 or 3 days' time it was ready and they sent it to us. It was amazing. So we were very happy to have his forward here. And
so he's the head. When you say he's head of what level, Father? Just for our audiences.
Yeah. So we have the general who is kind of following in the line of Saint Ignatius of Loyola. So he is the head of this whole society. The society exists throughout the world, and we have Jesuits everywhere. In India, we had a big number of Jesuits, and we still have. So there are so many provinces in India, and Jesuits are in every nook and corner, so to say, of India. And most of the Jesuits have a tradition, of writing some book, of doing something like this, very creative, very important and lasting. So in that tradition, we have him kind of giving us a go for it. And I'm sure because of his foreword, many more people will think that this book is really important, especially Jesuits and other congregations of priests as well as sisters who might want to buy this book.
Yeah, Father, you said that we got the forward rather soon. I would like to point out that the whole exercise of right from the day we spoke about it, that was on the 15th of February, till the day the dummy was in our hands on the 15th of April, around within 2 months the journey kind of culminated. And normally in a normal course of a book, the journey doesn't even begin in 2 months. It is just starting there and it is coming up. So I would like to point out that every step of the journey has been a success. Everything has happened very smoothly, right from the first meeting to meeting with the team members, submission of the articles, the photography, the design person who came all the way from Bombay. Things have really worked well, and this shows me that the hand of God is there on the book. Otherwise, I am a bookmaker. I know what the procedure involves. So it is not so easy to do a book. So this book has come out almost really within 2 months. So that's a comment I would like to add.
So Father Arturo Souza, who is also legend has said, because he is elected and his term is for life, and he is a very powerful Father General of the Jesuit, which is very powerful order. He is considered to be a very high position. Sometimes he's referred to as Black Pope, but very important position. But I would also like to say that this book has also been blessed by the Cardinal of Goa. Father, would you like to just speak a little bit about the message that Cardinal has given regarding this book?
Yeah.
Something this book.
One of the things that we felt was the Cardinal. He is the religious head of the Catholic Church in Goa. And Goa is a very important place because the Portuguese came here, and so it is considered a patriarchate. Very few places are given this title. So he, being a bishop, is also patriarch of the Indies, and that is how it was considered. So besides that, he is also the Archbishop. He is given another honorary title, and of late he has been also given the title of Cardinal. So a very important place for him, not only in Goa, not only in India, but in the world as well. So he has a very high standing. But also another thing, he has been the president of the CCBI, or Catholic Bishops' Conference of India, and he has also been elected as the president, head of the Asian bishops. So he's got a lot more authority with him. But I heard recently from the news that he has also been given a dicastery of the communications of the church all over the world. So he is a very important personage, like with a lot of experience. He's been a bishop for many years, and he has got a wide variety of experiences, which has been culminated in his message to us, saying that the Basilica is a very important place of convergence. People from all faiths come in here. People, they encounter the relics of St. Francis Xavier. We do not have a relics of a saint of this kind. Normally, after 24 hours, a person will disintegrate. Now, he has not been embalmed. He has just, been like this as a miracle. They wanted to get his bones to go up. So they put 2 sacks of lime down, 2 sacks on top, thinking that he would disintegrate fast and they would bring his bones to Goa because they were off China in Sanchan Island. And there was only one ship waiting because of him. They wanted to bring him, but when he died, they said, at least we must bring his bones. Otherwise, they might not trace where his bones are. So they waited for him, thinking that in 4 months' time, he would be available, his bones would be. But they found his body. And that was something amazing. They couldn't understand it. So they said maybe something went wrong. It was too cold and that lime did not work on the body. Something happened. So they brought him on the ship thinking that the salt water evaporation would work on him. He would disintegrate. No. They buried him in a church in Malacca thinking that the mud would, decompose him. But that also did not work. So this is a real miracle. And we have a great miracle here happening because daily there are thousands of people who are coming here. For what reason? Plenty of reasons. But sometimes merely out of curiosity. But when they come here, there is something else that happens to them. So the Cardinal has pointed out that yes, people do come here by the thousands daily, and it's amazing to see such crowds coming here. But also a place where they come and they have a spiritual experience. You must see how when they come to the place of the relics, they all of a sudden change. Many of them will kneel down, pray, and so there is a different kind of environment there which is created. And we would like to enhance this because it's just not a monument, it's not just a place of tourism, but it's also got this element of spirituality. And he has pointed that out to us in his message. So it is something really good.
So in one way, you do have the story of articles about some of them about the past, some of them about the present, among other things. But also many times when we come and experience there is the thing that I do in terms of scholarly reading is when you read a book versus when you experience a place, there's always this give and take that you do. Many times we would look at a place, like for example, I'll give you a simple example. If I tell you, think about Paris, you'll think about the Eiffel Tower. But you've already seen the Eiffel Tower in the books. So when you go to Paris, you want to experience the Eiffel Tower because you've seen it in the book. Sometimes the experience of what you want to imagine of a place comes before you actually visit the place. So in that sense, when you think about this book, there are many aspects of the Basilica where you might have come here, you might have experienced, you must have heard a lot of masses here, you might have attended other religious functions here, but you might have not paid attention to the Basilica itself. So in some ways, this book, with its collection of photographs, will pave way for you to look at the place in more detail. You'll be able to observe things that you've not observed before. So you might have thought about this book and the photograph in other ways. So here I would like to ask for Panteleao, when you click a picture and you want to say that this picture is going to be going into the book, and then that picture is going to be seen by somebody else, what is going through your mind when you're clicking the picture for those things? And I remember you really sweating it out. Like you would come here, you would say, okay, it's too hot. You'll go and carry those stands of yours, and you'll be like having this heavy bag. You'll suddenly go off, and you'll be there 2 hours. You're gone out in the heat, and you come back again. There must be something in your mind which is telling you that okay, this picture is something which will perhaps tell a story about the stone which is there, or the silver artifact which is there. So tell us a little bit about the process which you went through in clicking the pictures of the basilica itself.
Yeah. So when we see whatever a building or a monument or a small photograph, we see it as a small. If it is a photograph of a small object, we see it small and it gets lost in the huge background. If it is a monument, then it is too big for the eyes to catch. So we don't see the details. Or say, for example, when you approach the monument, the basilica, we see the whole structure there in front of us, the brown kind of structure, and we miss the details of the what is besides the doors, the columns that are there. Is there any design in that? So the designers have worked hard to put certain elements there, like there are Corinthian columns surrounding the main porch of the entrance. Then there's the oculus. Oculus is a small window, which is designed, which is constructed in great detail. And as a constructor, I know that to construct a round oculus, I mean, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort, etc. So this is all gone unnoticed. So my idea is then, okay, one is to show the basilica in its entirety, and then focus on these key elements, say, and show, okay, see these, put your eye on those elements, so that when you come there next time, you will actually look at those things and appreciate them. When you go inside the basilica, we ignore the porches which are there at the back, the porch which is holding the loft, say, for example. So when you take a photograph showing that porch along with the main altars, you see, I didn't notice that it could be seen like this. So there's a photograph there which shows that particular angle. So we bring to the notice of the people certain elements which go often ignored. Then when you come to certain pictures which are like, you come there, everything is amazing. So certain details are then, so I would then like to, what impresses me, I would like then to zoom in, take a picture of that, see that it is very clear, so that people can see it in its clarity. And then I get this comment that the pictures are very clear, very sharp, etc. So for that, I do a lot of experimentation with the various lenses, with the apertures, so that whatever is to be shown to the people, so that they appreciate what has been created here by people hundreds of years back, and it is still good. They have done a good job. That's why it's still standing, and that it should continue standing further. So people appreciate it. That means they will, pay attention to it. See that if it is going down, somebody will make effort. So these are all the aims of photography. Of course, besides all this, there is also the artistic image, where I get satisfied to see that my photograph is viewed as an object of art. So all these elements creep into my pictures.
So, apart from Panteleao's photograph, there's also illustrations. Pradnya Bhave, architect, has also done illustrations to break down the building itself in terms of the elements. So the audience will also get to experience in the book how to look at the different elements. So there'll be young students who are there. We are also thinking about younger generations. For example, we know that a lot of young children of Goa, whether they are in Goa or lots of other places, are very much interested in our heritage. I like to say one word, like there was in Hera a long time back, they used to have this small part which is called Goinchi Girestai, the richness of Goa, the heritage of Goa. And this Goinchi Girestai in its various forms can be seen in the basilica itself. While coming just now, I was trying to figure out what are the local Konkani terms that I can use, and I'm going to do a short take about it. So there is Maist, there is Shupi, there is painter who colors, there is goldsmith, Kasar, Sutar, there will be a lot of other people who are there. So all these artisans of Goa are responsible for creating what is called Basilica of Bom Jesus. And we can see their works in far more great detail. So when you want to see these pictures in this book, for instance, you are not only able to appreciate the photograph, and you don't only want to say, oh, what a lovely picture. You also have to think about who are those people, who are those artisans, who are those craft people, and not just men, women, not just white, European, Goans, and sometimes many of them coming from Africa, because we know, Antonio de Souza, for example, said that we should actually call this Goa Negra or Black Goa, not Golden Goa, because lots of work or labor which is went into making of this basilica and many of the buildings did come from the slave labor which the Portuguese had employed. So all these things are parts that we can appreciate at the basilica, And what we wanted to do is capture that in some form. You'll never be able to experience the actual basilica in the book. That's never the story. That's not what it is meant to be. This is supposed to be an introduction. This is supposed to be telling you, come, look at it. You can just have a glimpse at it. But your actual experience is only once you come here, once you experience this. And maybe that experience of yours is going to be far more richer after you have read the book. That's all our aim is, very simple aim in that sense. So Gonchi Giresta is then Basilica, but we are trying to capture it for our audiences who are close and far, for those people. Further, you would like to end in thinking about younger generation, especially of how this book, I don't know whether you thought about it, whether you intend to.
Now, as you were speaking, I was just beginning to reflect on what will be going on in their mind. See, they might get awakened to this monument because anyone who comes to Goa, it is a must to see place. So that's what it is. Like, they'll come. Like, there were 4 girls who came from Delhi once when I had just arrived here, and they were told on the beach, "Have you been to Old Goa?" Saying, "What Goa are we in now?" So then, Old Goa is a place where there are a lot of old structures, churches. So, and you must go there. If you have not gone there, then you have not been to Goa. Like, you have to see those. So they came here and they were just walking inside and outside. They knew nothing about it, just like, seeing her. They met me and then they asked me, "What is all this place? Why are so many people coming here?" And then that's how it started. I told them that there is a resting place of a body which has not decomposed. Saying what? Yes. And this body is really a gift from God. And because this body is here, there is a kind of environment of peacefulness here. They said yes, because we are youngsters, we've just finished our graduation, we've begun our work, and we said, let's blow our first pay in Goa. That's how they came down to Goa. And they said, when we came in here, we were very much in turmoil internally, but when we walked around, did not know anything, we began to feel a kind of peace in us. So this was the experience of youngsters. Now, youngsters are also brought in here during their school days. Like, they know nothing about it, they just come and go. But over time, I think, we are, as Panteleao was saying, we help them to focus on some things. And then, it comes a little more alive. Then, there are so many of them who are coming here for the Navina, for the feast. And there is another kind of environment and an experience. Unfortunately, these days we have not been seeing too many youngsters coming, but I think, they are also coming in some time or the other. Like, one youngster told me that, when they were attending some of the things that I was saying during Mass, they said it's very good because we don't hear such a thing. Like, you lead us after your homily into a little prayer, so that it becomes a quiet moment for us. So that is something different. Otherwise, we are always hearing some talk and, we are, think about other things. So in a way, like, the youngsters are surely going to benefit from it. We've also been keeping them in prayer, just praying for the world peace, family peace. So these type of things, we don't see the results as such, but we know that it is happening because this is an experience of faith. And when we say things in faith, then, God really works and touches them. So I feel that, as Panteleao has said, and as you have shown, that there are different elements in this coffee book. Yes, they're going to be touched by it. How, when, we don't know. But like as he said, sometimes you just pick it up the second time, say, "Ari, last time I didn't see this. This time I'm noticing something else." So you kind of reach a certain depth in being present to it, and it's making itself present to us. So that kind of a interaction will take place through this book, I guess. So I'm hoping for that to take place. One thing which I'm really grateful is that there are many who have come into making this book a reality. And I thank, Vishvesh also for his kind of a vision for this book, while Panteleao had another vision and I had another one. So it has all come together. And I think we have worked very well, synchronized together in making this book a reality. The others may have not been very visible, but they are visible through what they have given here as a contribution, like Old Goa, Velha Goa, Brief History. It gives you a kind of an overview by Amita Kanekar, and that's really good. And Benito Ferrao, he
R.
look,
Benedict Ferrao, yeah, he's
yeah,
a professor at, yeah.
yeah, looking at a Goan icon differently. So he has given a different kind of a perspective. And though we have not seen him much here, but he has been very much in love with the Basilica. And so these are all lovers who have got a great desire, like, to see the Basilica in a different way and make us also see it. Father Delio Mendonça, he's been also very fascinated by the Basilica. He himself has written on the Basilica, his PhD was on it. And so he has also the art and articles in the Bom Jesus, which he has given us. Then the mausoleum of St. Francis Xavier, we have Panteleao giving us a wonderful presentation of what we cannot see from down, but you can see it very closely through his photography. And Pradnya Bave and Mr. Panteleao has given that pictorial essay on the architectural elements of the Basilica. We also have with us rain in the Basilica, which Vishvesh has shown us what is a way that we need to look at the Basilica so that it can continue for many years. And it's very interesting because we have followed it in the difficult moments when the Basilica needed attention, and a lot has been done in that line. So that has been kind of frozen into this article, and there's lots we can talk about it. Besides, Captain of Gold and the Foundation of Faith, it's a very important aspect to see how the Basilica has evolved. How did it begin? The beginnings of it. Where did this gold on the altars have come up? So it's very interesting to know how it has all happened. And of course, we have talked about all of them. There's something very important in this book, which is not there in any other book, I think. That is the first page. You see, we have the two hymns to St. Francis Xavier. And you can, when you open this book, you can kind of scan it and it will go on while you look into these pages. So that's something unique about it. And it's really going to be something of a joy to have this book, which no one else has done in this way, but something that will be memorable. But it was a great joy to work together. There was absolutely internal kind of humility in each one, but also a great desire to do it. Like Panteleao, though he had initiated the work, was very cool and calm, said, okay, let it take its own course. Okay, like give me also the kind of hand to move it further and call the others. And it was nice that, Vishvesh has given himself also very much to it, brought in a lot of elements which otherwise might not have happened if only the two of us were there. So I think and I believe that it is God who brought us, because the Basilica is precisely that. It brings all of us to an experience of God, and God is there in these pages. And I'm sure every one of you who will take this book will go much enriched and with an experience of faith. This book, in order for it to be designed, we needed a specialist. And who else could give us the specialist but Panteleao? Panteleao had his man in Bombay or Mumbai who has been doing his books, designing his books. A very simple man, Prahlad. Normally he would go to Mumbai, Bombay and do this work. But this time Prahlad somehow felt that he would like to come to Goa, and he came to Goa and did this work with us. it was amazing to see that he came to Goa not only once, he came the second time also, and that's how we were able to complete this book in record time. As Panteleao said, otherwise it takes such a long time to do it. But every one of us has worked very hard, especially for getting this thing done up, doing everything so well, seeing that it is really wonderful and everything is in place. So Prahlad is also very important in this. Also the cover page, we were also wondering what would be the best, because normally everyone sees the facade as the basilica, but they don't see what the facade is doing. It is giving us an interior experience of the presence of St. Francis Xavier, his mortal remains, but this is indicating that it is Jesus who has done this in his life, and he is the one whom he proclaims, and he is the one who is experienced in this place.